So I couldn't figure it out another way. Then I took it and using AI and all, sorry, ChatGPT and all, I tried to figure it out. Then after figuring it out, I took my time to prepare again.
When you use that CTE, was it asking for any other alternative way to do it, or?
No, sir, it was showing some kind of error. The line, before the start of, after the end of CTE, it was showing some kind of error, some space was there, something like that. It gave me to apostrophes and with the no character in middle, and it was showing the error found here like this.
So you completed all three of them: beginner, intermediate, and advanced certifications. Excellent. Okay. So this is for the ones who completed SQL sessions, requesting you to complete the certifications as soon as possible. And the ones who completed Excel sessions, you can also go for Microsoft Excel certification. You can check with the front office, right? So try that as well. That's also very much. Yes, you can do that. Yeah.
Completed Google's dictionary, sir. So now I'm entering into the main topic.
Right.
Daily afternoon I'm doing that, and in the evening I'm revising all the topics.
Better, yes. Okay, so coming back to our Power BI, so SQL is somehow connected to it, right? That's what we've been talking about. So the ones who completed SQL sessions, requesting you to complete the certification also. This will help you to, keep those certifications on your resume, right? Fine, we were talking about different things. So let me just take you through all these points one by one, okay? Why Power BI? Hold on. Yeah, I'll cover these points and we'll also do the installation part today. And once that is done, we'll switch to SQL and I'll have to talk about the key related, what is keys related and what is data normalization process, denormalization process. Why the data needs to be split into multiple tables, right? So all those points we'll discuss, right? So why Power BI? Yesterday we learned, it is very easy to create reports, interactive reports using Power BI. So simple drag and drop, and I showed you quickly how to get custom visuals and animated charts and different kind of charts you can create. And why most of us we find learning Power BI is easy is because Power BI looks very much similar to MS Office applications. Like if you learn Excel interface and Power BI interface in few of the aspects, it's like very much similar. In Excel, whatever the features that we have, most of those features we can see in the Power BI also, right? In Power BI also. A simple example I can tell you, because I have working experience with different reporting tools. Excel, we call something conditional formatting. You know that, right? Conditional formatting. In SAP BOBI, we call it as highlighters.
Yes.
SAP. Business objects, and SAP Crystal reports, we call it alerters, highlighters, very much similar again, okay? In Click View, we call it visual cues. You see that? It's the same conditional formatting, but with different names. But in Power BI, we call it conditional formatting only. So the moment we see that, we find it very much similar, easy to use also, right? It's not that complex, these features, very easy to use them. But the only thing is that because these things sound little new, we may be, thinking it's a different feature, but it's the same feature. Power BI can integrate the data from any data source. It can read the data from Excel, CSV, web pages, PDF, SQL Server, Oracle, SAP, HANA, whatnot. You name anything, it is there. You can easily connect, read the data, create the reports. Highly interactive visuals, right? Highly interactive and visuals are in a page are connected by default. Yesterday I was showing you, right? I was clicking on one point and rest of the visuals are automatically getting filtered. Power BI data reports can be exported into Excel, PPT, PDF. I would like to show you something interesting here. Most of the reports that we create using Excel also, we can export them into a PDF. If you want to get the same Excel report into PPT, what is it you do? You take a screenshot and paste that image into the PPT so that it will be used for the presentation. So that is what we do. But you know what, in Power BI, the interesting thing is, let me show you. No, I'm not into, I mean, SAP has got different things again. SAP, what do we say? Let's say if you are talking about SAP ERP, there you have different modules like FICO or material management or sales and distribution, SDM, right? So different modules are there, but I'm from SAP reporting. We have SAP Crystal Reports, SAP Business Objects and Business Intelligence. I'm from that background. I'm not from the operational side of it. Right. So let me show you how I can export this into a PowerPoint. And moreover, I want to embed the live data, right? Or I can take it like an image also, but I want to embed the live data and show this one in PowerPoint, okay? Once you copy paste to, just hold on, by any chance did I change my account? Yeah, that's hold on. Right. So once we take any screenshot and copy paste that to PowerPoint, what usually happens is that it only works like an image, a screenshot. You can't do anything. It's like a picture, that's it. You can't interact with it, right? But if you export a report from Power BI, see that you will be able to interact with all these images. You can apply the slicers. Let's say I want to see only central data. You see that? In PowerPoint, usually doesn't offer these kind of interactions. Yes. How do we do that? We only simply copy paste those screenshots. But here in Power BI, you can actually do all these things, right? Yeah, you can work with all these points. You can show line chart, you can show map chart, right? You see this? Interactions with all these things are possible. Right? It's just not like a screenshot, an interactive PowerPoint presentation you can create from Power BI. You can also export this as PDF if you want, okay? And Excel. Create highly compressed data set. So usually what happens is that when you load a data set, right, it occupies some space, right? So when you load this into Power BI, it reduces the size of the data set. So in a very, very significant way, if you load 100 MB data, it turns out to be a 40 MB or 50 MB. It compresses the data. It uses some technique in the background. It does all the required normalization in the background, okay? For faster response. Yeah. High quality visuals, something like, map charts, different kind of charts with interactions possible in Power BI. Not only the existing default visuals, you can also get the custom visuals. You can freely download. And yesterday I just simply downloaded a visual and I used it, right? It's a cloud-based tool and you can access the reports from anywhere using any of the devices. Every month enhancements are released. Every month we get a notification email saying that so-and-so been released. Yeah. And every month we get to see a good number of updates, right? Earlier it was too high. When Power BI was initially launched, it was too high, the number of updates and all. But these days, we are like seeing a very few updates, because initially there would be so many developments, right? But slowly the tool gets standardized. And those days, like 4 or 5 years ago, every day, every month, as soon as these enhancements get released, you see a different interface there. Even we used to get confused, like an option which was there earlier on the right-hand side, they moved it to left-hand side. See, we get used to certain things, right? So suddenly there is a change, right? And the names also. Every now and then they change the names. Earlier, the left-hand side views are there. One of those views is called data view. Now they changed it as table view. You see that? Earlier we used to call it data set. Now they changed it as semantic model. Same thing, but certain modifications are done and names also changed. You know, earlier we used to find an option on the left-hand side. Now that moved to middle. So what usually happens is that when we want to go for a particular feature and we remember, okay, this feature is located in this place and we directly go there and we don't find it. See that? But now it is kind of very much standardized, no much movements here and there, but it is almost standardized. And names, every now and then they are changing. Okay. Just a second. Right. So it's a self-service tool. You can directly do anything and everything. Simple drag and drop, and you don't need to be like a master of data visualization to do this. I told you, right? Yesterday I created one report with simple Q&A, question and answer. I asked a question and it was able to give me the answer. Right? Double click on the screen. Right. That's what we can do. You no need to have so much of knowledge and reporting also to work with Power BI. Important visuals can be pinned onto a dashboard. So here the dashboard concept is little different. Usually whenever we create a report, we call it as dashboard, but it's actually a report in Power BI. So I'll tell you the technical difference between what is a dashboard and what is a report in Power BI. It is little different. It is treated little different. I'll explain that, okay? Once we get into the dashboarding level. Q&A, the natural querying, that natural language querying. So in terms of building a visual, usually you need to understand what is x-axis, what is y-axis, right? If it is a pie chart, which one can go to the value section, which one can be a legend. Usually beginners, they struggle a lot with them. Like what is the field I need to drag into legend and what is the field that should go into size or values, right? So those kind of things can be easily answered using Q&A. You just type it like, I want to see this data by this in so-and-so chart. It will create a chart for you. Right? You just type it like a question. Yesterday I was showing you like, I want to get the total sales by the region or total cases by the country. It shows different visuals. Okay, on a map chart I want to get, on a line chart I want to get, it can easily show that. Automatically generate the insights on the data. There is an option you can automatically generate the insights. You don't need to do much. You just do a right click and generate insights and it will present all possible things. Why the sales are low, why the sales are high, where it is high, why it is low, all those things it will generate an summary of it. A large community of Power BI developers help each other in solving issues. So basically, what it does, this particular community, you can post your questions there. Like Excel, we have like different Excel forums. In Excelytics also, we maintain Excel groups, like WhatsApp groups. Like there are big groups with, hundreds of users in different groups. So they will be posting their queries and others will respond, right? That's how. Similarly, Power BI has a very big community to help each other, right? This is all good, but how can I get this tool, right? Do I need to pay anything for it? No need. You don't need to pay anything for it. If you want to use it as a single user, better, you can directly download it. Better using this store. Yeah, Microsoft Store. Don't use the link. You can also do this, but the point is, if it is from Microsoft Store, when you search for Power BI desktop, you get an icon like this one. Okay, there are other things also. Power BI report builder. This is for the paginated reports. It is for a different purpose altogether. And this is the one we need to install. Power BI desktop is the name. You can also install from this link, but only one challenge is that you will be downloading a software Power BI desktop and you need to do a double click and install it. But coming to the updates and all, it will be asking you, do you want me to update the tool and all? But here, if you do it from Microsoft Store, you no need to do anything. Just if every month when the enhancements are released in the background itself, the Power BI gets updated, right? If something is installed, you can directly open that, right? But for you, initially it shows get it. For me, it is showing installed and open. For you, it shows get it. Okay, so click that. It's a good 1 GB file, and yeah, it takes some time. Please make sure you connect to Wi-Fi instead of a mobile internet. So connect to Wi-Fi and download it, and you can start using it. The very first time when you open Power BI after installing it, okay, after installing, if you open Power BI, this asks for the registration, the Power BI service account registration. For now, you can skip this. It asks like register on Power BI service, and simply you cancel that. Don't register at this point because we don't need that account at this point. We'll let you know when to register and when to start using that Power BI service. Nothing but it's a cloud-based, one, and we can publish our reports to Power BI cloud. Okay, so that the reports will be available any place. You can just you just need to have internet to access the reports. That's it. On your mobile, you can access. Right, I'll also show you how to create mobile dashboard and all. Right, from your mobile itself, you can view what's happening. Okay, right. So you better install it from Microsoft Store and search for Power BI Desktop and install that. And once you install it, open it for the very first time. You don't need to register on Power BI service. So if it shows register on Power BI service with all your details, cancel that process because without registration also you can use Power BI Desktop. Clear? When to create that account, how to create a free user account, okay? So usually if you want to register on Power BI service, then you will have to have a company email address. Something like, let's say Kumar at Deloitte.com or, Kishore at realpage.com or something like that. Some company domain needs to be there. Organizational email address is needed. Your personal email address is not going to work like Gmail, Yahoo Mail and all, right? Yeah. So I'll let you know the process, how you can get that free email account also. Okay, we'll discuss. Otherwise, we can also create a developer account. Okay, so I'll show you that process also. Basic steps, get the data, do the data transformation. We need to clean up the data as per our requirement, data modeling to build the relationship between the tables and all, create visuals, right? We also, while creating the visuals, we write so many DAX functions there. Right? Measures, so calculated columns, tables we create in the model. Then once the report is ready, we publish and we create the dashboards, and we also share these reports and all with different people within the organization or sometimes outside the organization also. So these are the basic building steps in Power BI report. And once you open Power BI, this is how it looks. But yeah, the theme and the home page, everything got changed. Earlier, it used to be like this, the home page, and we used to directly click here. But it's not like that. It shows a blank report. And then once you take the blank report, then get the data, you need to do it from here. So the screenshots may be looking little different from the interface that you have now because this material was created a bit long back. But concepts are same. Screen, view, colors and all may be different, but the concepts remain same. Okay. But how to get the data, how to build the data models and all, we'll do all these things. But before actually, getting into report building, we need to understand a few of the SQL concepts. Okay. I'll repeat once again the SQL related concepts so that the ones who completed SQL, it's more like a refresher for you. Someone who just joined only for Power BI, you will understand why SQL concepts are needed here. Right. As we discussed yesterday also, reporting and analytics profiles, they look like this. We may be using some reporting tool. It could be Excel, Power BI, Tableau, ClickSense, whatnot. There are different reporting tools available. Okay. So currently we are using Power BI. So using Power BI, what is it you want to create?
Report.
You want to create a report. Excellent. So if you want to create a report, what is that needed?
Data.
Data.
Data. Perfect. Where do we get this data?
Server. Database.
Some database. Perfect. Some database. It could be different kind of database. It could be Oracle database, SQL Server database, MySQL database, SAP HANA, DB2, Teradata. So many databases are available. Good thing is that most of them are RDBMS, relational databases. Relational databases. What is this relational database? A relational database contains the data in the form of tables that have the relationships. So the data is stored in the form of tables, rows and columns. You know, someone who is good with Excel, it is easy for them to understand SQL concepts. Why? Because in Excel also, what is it we work with? Tables only. A spreadsheet can contain what? Different types of tables, right? The data storage concepts, are there in the Excel also. Like columns are there, column data types are there, column headers are mandatory to create a table. Table formats are there, right? Different functions we use in Excel. So similar things are there in SQL also. That is the reason we recommend anyone who wants to get into reporting or analytics roles. Excel is the first step because it's easy to understand and very user-friendly environment also in Excel. Fine then. So we want to create a report using Power BI, and for that we need the data, and data is located in database. And let's assume that it's a SQL Server database, and the server that what we are using is SQL Server. And we want to get some data. So to get that data, what we usually do is that we pass one SQL query. Select so-and-so columns from so-and-so table, join so-and-so table, and apply a condition where so-and-so department is equal to so-and-so. You can write different conditions there, and we learned all those things. But yeah, someone who is very new to SQL, understand SQL is structured query language. And this is the most common language used to interact with any of the servers. Okay, there are different types of servers, right? Microsoft SQL Server is there, Oracle Server is there, MySQL Server is there, IBM servers are there, right? So different types of servers, and they use a very common language, SQL, right? Using which you can interact with the server and you can get the output. Right. So it's a common language, but there are different variants of this SQL, right? MySQL, Oracle SQL, we call it TSQL for, Microsoft, we call it, right? So different types of variants of SQLs are there, but almost 95% of the commands, they are same across all these different variants of SQLs. And that is what we understood. And the variant of SQL that we learned in our SQL sessions is TSQL, Transact SQL, which is understood by Microsoft SQL Server. And I also told you, what if your company uses MySQL? No need to worry because you already have experience in TSQL. You can easily write MySQL codes also, right?
Similar, but a few case sensitive words.
Correct. A few case sensitive things are there and a few keywords are here and there, they change, right? So we got some idea, right? What is that already? Fine then. So SQL is needed to interact with the databases and get the data. That's what we understood. We want to create a report. Our data is located in some server. So we are some database and we use SQL structured query language. We pass a query. We get the required amount of data. And once we get the data, we create a report. It's as simple as that. Right? So I hope all of you got some idea now with this.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Fine then. So we understood SQL is needed, but in SQL, we write the SQL queries to interact with the database. Let us try to understand how the database is developed. Okay, a database contains what? Tables, views, stored procedures, functions, whatnot, different things we created, right? You remember, right? Mostly we work with tables only. Let's stick to tables because we are talking only from the reporting standpoint, right? Let's talk about only tables. So these tables contain some data, right? Let me show you one example. It's the same example. Consider this is one of the tables inside SQL database, right? You get a question, you are using Excel, right? Yes, but you need to imagine that, you know, whether it is Excel interface or SQL database, it is a table that has some rows and columns. That's it. Yeah. And if you look at this data, almost every question can be answered. So what kind of question? Like if I ask you, what is the total salary paid by the department name? Can we do that? Yes. Why? Because you have the department name available and we have the total salary. I can do the sum and you can create a pivot table and get it. That's easy. How many employees are there for each job designation? Can we do that? Yeah, because job designation, job is here. And how many employees I can get the count of employee ID? I can do that. Right. What is the total salary paid by the gender, male, female? Can we do that? Yes, we have this. And salaries and the gender column. That's it. Can I filter whosoever joined before 1st January 2020? Can I do that? Yes. Why? Because you have date of joining here, and I'll get a filter applied on this data, and I can get it. So almost all the questions are, you know, answered using a single table. And as a reporting analyst, you know, when we get this kind of a data, we are lucky. Why? Because everything is there in one table. Yes. Right. No need to use any other functions or joins or relationships. Nothing. Right. Everything is there in one place. So we can easily create a report using the data. Most of the Excel users would have seen this kind of environment where all the data is located in one place and created a pivot table and created a dashboard. Right. But when it comes to the real-time data, the data is not stored inside one table. You get a question like, if it is not stored inside one table, does it mean that, you know, some part of the data like this is stored in one place, some part of the data is stored in some other place like this? No. What I mean to say, it is not stored inside one table. It means this data is split into multiple tables to form dimension tables and fact tables. Okay. So how this data is split into multiple tables, I'll explain it in the next one. But yes, before moving to that concept, understand if the data exists like this, we are lucky. Why? Because everything is there in one place. So this data is called denormalized data. What is denormalized data? Everything is there in one place.
Yes.
Okay. But the next topic is normalized data. What is normalized data? Let's take a look at this. You take a look at this table and tell me what is the total salary paid by the job, like manager, developer, tester. If I ask that question, okay, if I ask that question, so tell me, can you answer that question using only this table?
No.
Not possible. Not possible. Why? Because you don't have the job value here, right? So you only have the job ID here. What is that? One is what? Manager. Two is what? Developer. So that means you need to look up that value in some other table and get that output. You got the point? If the data is split into multiple tables like this, it is normalized data, right? You definitely should get a question. Why do I need to split into multiple tables and create? My database is a bit more bigger. Why can't I store all the data in one place? Happy, right? Yes or no? Everything is there in one place. Why do I need to create multiple, tables like this? Very simple. This is because to avoid or to reduce data redundancy and inconsistency. What is data redundancy? Let's talk about that. Redundancy. Okay, the same value is repeated for multiple number of times. You get a question here. One is there, right? Why do I need to store one? Let me store manager. Wherever one is there, manager, 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 manager. I can write manager there, right? But understand one thing. If you are repeating the same value, the text content for multiple number of times, the table size will significantly increase. It will occupy more space. So instead of manager, 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 if I put only one, definitely one occupies less space than manager. Then what is that we need to do, you know? If you want to get the total salary paid by the manager, what is it we do in Excel? We do a VLOOKUP. Using this job ID, I can fetch the job here. And someone who is good with VLOOKUP, you know this, equal to VLOOKUP, the lookup value is this. My table array is this. For that, table arrays must be always logged. Second column and 0, close it and drag it down. That's it. Right? So we can easily get the output like this. This is good. Now, the point is this. If you want to do that, what is that you are doing? You are looking up that value in some other table. In this table. In Excel, we do a lookup formula for that. In SQL, we do a join. In Power BI, we create a relationship. Remember this word, relationship. In Power BI, we create a relationship. Okay. So now we need to understand what is a fact table and what is a dimension table. So we understood that data will be split into multiple tables. That is called data normalization. But you know, what is on which basis it got split? Using some keys, right? Right. So job ID can be connected with this job ID, right? As a result of normalization, we get two types of tables, I said, dimension tables and fact tables. You know, most of the DB people, database people, they will be using this terminology. If you're not from that background, you don't really understand like what is it they're talking about. You know, they say that, okay, this dimension table needs to be updated. You know, that fact table is not getting updated daily. Something like that. They will be using these words, okay? So what is a dimension table? A dimension table holds categorical data. Something like location information, department information, job information, employee personal details information, product details information, categories details related, information. All that, info is available in dimension tables. So that's the reason we call them, a dimension that holds a categorical data. Okay. So I can call this as a dim table, which is a dimension table. Right. Similarly, this is also a dimension table because designations table, right? Gender table is also a dimension table because they only hold some categorical data, location information, designation information, department information, right? Then what is a fact table? How to say? Very simple. The entire table, at least one column, allows you to do the sum. At least one column allows you to do the sum. You can consider that as fact table. And if you look at this entire table, one of those columns is there. Which one is it? Salary column. Can I do the sum? Does it make sense? Yeah, the total salaries. Commission. Can I do the sum? Yes, because it is numerical data and what is the total commission to be paid? Right? So understand that at least one column allows you to do the sum and that result makes sense. You can consider that as a fact table. Here, employee table in this example is a fact table. Done? Okay. Now you take a look at this. Employee ID. Can I consider that as a numerical field and can I do the sum there?
No.
No? Okay. Why no?
Because solution doesn't make sense.
Correct. Whatever the value that you get, that doesn't make any sense. What is the point of doing the sum of employee IDs? IDs can't be summed up. That may be a numerical value, but we can't do the sum. Even if you try to do the sum, it doesn't make sense. Done. Right? So understand at least one column that must be a numerical one. And if you can do the sum, it's a fact table. Perfect. Okay, now we understand what is a dimension table and what is a fact table, right? Dimension tables hold certain keys and in the fact tables also you see the same keys, right? Now let me tell you one interesting thing here. You see this here, job table. Is there any way that the job ID can be duplicated? Can I have one more one here, job ID? No way. You cannot have one more job ID as one here. You know why? Because it can't be duplicated, right? Why it can't be? One is already assigned to manager and you cannot assign one for tester again, right? Right? It needs to have a different number, right? Got some idea, right? Okay, perfect. So understand this. When we cannot duplicate the numbers and when we can't have a null. Okay, tell me, salesman job ID, can this be null? No way. Why? Because we are looking at a designation table where each and every designation must need to have one unique identification number. Right? So if any column is satisfying both the rules that it can have only unique values and it can't have nulls, then we can consider that as primary key. So that's the reason I marked it as primary key here. But the same primary key is used in some other table for multiple number of times. You see that? Right? All these things are foreign keys. Okay. So what is a primary key? A key which is unique and cannot have nulls. The same primary key is used in some other place for multiple number of times is called a foreign key. SQL people, you already know this, right? For someone who directly joined Power BI, understand this. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. A key which is there uniquely and cannot have nulls is a primary key. Remember this. Okay. So tell me, in this table, employee ID, is it a primary key or not? In this table, employee ID is a primary key or not?
Yes, it's a primary.
Yes. Each and every employee has one unique identification number. Yes, these all are primary keys. These are primary keys. Right? Okay. Now tell me job ID. The same job ID is there for multiple employees. Yes or no? Possible, right? Multiple employees can be managers. Multiple employees can be testers. Their job designation is same, right? So if the same ID is repeated for multiple times, but the ID is coming from some other table primary key, then what kind of a key is it? Foreign key. Easy? The same foreign key is there in the designation table as a primary key. Okay, got some idea now? Right. Now you tell me department ID here. Which type of key is it?
Foreign key.
Foreign key. Why? Because
it is a primary key.
exactly it is a primary key of some other table. Department table. Understood? Huh. Gender. It's also a foreign key here, right? The same gender ID in this table is primary key. Perfect. Right. You all understand this, right? What is a primary key? Something that is unique and cannot have nulls. And if the same primary key is used in some other table for multiple number of times, then you can call that column as a column is a foreign key column. Easy. So this will help us to maintain the data integrity also by enforcing these primary keys and foreign keys. I'll tell you why. Can I give job designation as 8?
No, sir.
No way. Why? Because it is a foreign key of this table, right? Do we have 8 here? No. So this helps us in maintaining the data integrity also. Got the point? Right. So you understood then what is the primary key, foreign key. So let me save this. If the tables are like this, multiple tables, and they hold categorical data and numerical data, fact tables, they hold numerical data, dimension tables, they hold categorical data. Okay, when you have the database structure like this, what kind of a database is it? Is it denormalized data or normalized data?
Normalized data.
Normalized.
Normalized.
Yeah, it is.
Because we have normalized.
Correct. Done. If everything is there in one place, denormalized. Now I have a question. Tell me, which one as a reporting analyst you enjoy the most to create the reports? Normalized data or denormalized data?
Normalized.
Creating or
Creating reports.
creating these normalized would be better, sir. Because consumption of time is less, and also the data integrity is maintained and everything is safe.
Okay. If I give you this table and I ask you to create a pivot to show total salary paid by the job, is one requirement. I'll give you these tables and I'll ask you to create a pivot to show the total salary paid by the job. Which one is easy for us?
Denormalized.
Denormalized. That is easy actually because everything is there in one place.
Yes.
Yeah, here you need to apply the formulas or do something to get this data into this table, and then only you can summarize the data, right? Yeah, we understand denormalized is easy, but in the real time, you don't get denormalized data sets. You always get the normalized data sets only. Why? Because in every database, you see the normalized data sets only. Because of multiple reasons. One thing, the space related things, indexing is easy, like so many things we discussed. But for now, understand that in the real time, we get a normalized data set to create the reports. That is where these keys become mandatory for us to understand, okay? So primary key, foreign key. So what is the primary key behavior? What is the primary key?
It is unique. Will not have nulls.
Something that is unique and
Don't have nulls.
right, no nulls. What is the foreign key?
Primary key of
Right, a primary key of some other
key, some other table.
Perfect. We understood that, right? Excellent. I think now you got some idea, right? When we do this, we usually end up seeing two types of schema designs when we perform this normalization. So let me show you. Yeah. You know what is a fact table and what is a dimension table, right? A fact table that holds the numerical data and a dimension table holds the categorical data. That's what we already understood. Perfect. So if you look at this data, so we have here a fact table, which is surrounded by a few dimension tables. There may be 4 or 3 or 10 or 20. But if a fact table is surrounded by dimension tables like this, we call it a star schema. Okay, star schema in terms of the performance, it is definitely faster than the other model. Okay, why? Because simple thing, you're a manager. You have 4 assistant managers. They have the required information that needs to be shared with you. And you're a manager here. And assistant manager 1. You want to get that information. You can directly interact with him. And that assistant manager will give you the required information. You're a manager and you have an assistant manager B, assistant manager 2, and got some information, and when you need it, you ask that person and that person gives it to you. It's like very easy to interact with them and gather the complete information here, right? But let me show you a snowflake. In the snowflake, you're a manager. You have an assistant manager. That assistant manager has one team lead, and the team lead has 20 associates. And if you want to get some certain information, you need to reach out to your assistant manager. Assistant manager will reach out to the team lead. Team lead will reach out to those 20 associates, get all the information summarized here, get all the information summarized here, get all the information, then summarize it here. This will take some time. I mean, easily understandable also, right? So the more number of relationships are created between the tables, the data flow will also take more time. This design is called snowflake schema, right? So one fact table is dependent on a dimension table. That dimension table further dependent on other subdimensional tables. So when you build a model like this, obviously the performance of the report will be a little slower, snowflake schema. Right? So understand, when we want to build a better model, we try to bring the data into a star scheme by merging the subdimensional tables into a main dimensional table. I'll talk about a merging process. So you don't need to maintain separate tables. We merge everything into one table. We do a little denormalization there to bring the model into a star schema model, because performance-wise it is better. Okay, got some idea now? So star schema versus the snowflake. So star, it looks like this. Star doesn't necessarily be like looking like a star only, but just that, you know,
Is surrounded by all.
exactly. One fact table is surrounded by a few dimension tables, right? A snowflake will have dimension tables, and further down we have subdimensional tables also. Which one is better? Right, star schema. So when do we get into this situation? When the data is normalized, right? Yeah. Now let me explain the star once again. Now you see this. I have a dimension table called dealer table. Table name is dealer table. And I have a fact table, revenue table. Okay. Right. Now I have a dealer ID here. Observe this. I have a dealer ID, and the same dealer ID is here also. Now I want you to identify which one is a primary foreign key.
Primary is the dealer table one.
Okay, dealer table, dealer ID is a primary key, because in the dealers table, each and every dealer gets one unique identification number, and which can't be null. And the same dealer ID will be there in fact table,
That's fine.
foreign key. Perfect. Right. Similarly, tell me this, branch dimension table is there, revenue table is there. Branch dimension, you have a branch ID. In the revenue table also you have the branch ID. So tell me, in the revenue table, branch ID is
Foreign key.
foreign key. In branch table, branch ID is primary key, because each and every branch gets one. Yes. Okay. Right. Here you have a revenue table, and you have a product table here. Right. And we have a model ID, model ID. Yes. So now you tell me, in the revenue table, model ID is
Foreign key.
it must be a foreign key, and here it is a primary key. You know, probably the image it's created like this, but I recommend it to be a product ID and product ID. Product table, product ID is usually considered as a primary key there, but that's okay. Model and product ID, it could be, yeah, same, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. You got some idea, right? Yeah, perfect. Because now you are good with this, what is a primary key and foreign key? So let me show you something interesting now to understand it a bit more easier. I think I showed you this already in our SQL sessions also. So the ones who completed SQL, don't answer this. I'll leave it to the others. Okay, find out in this table which one is a primary key. Yeah, which one is a primary key? Employee ID is a primary key. Okay. Others,
PID,
the ID is a
because
primary.
it's a payroll table.
Always remember this. You need to look at
Totally.
the table name first.
Yes.
You are looking at currently payroll data, payroll table. Payroll table, pay ID is a primary key, not employee ID. I'll tell you why. Because it is May 2023 salary paid to employee ID 1234. In June also the same employee ID to be paid, right? Yes or no? Right? Yeah, in the payroll table, pay ID is a primary key because each and every pay that we do. Exactly. It is unique and not null, the pay ID here. But when it comes to employee ID must be duplicated, right? What if employee ID is marked as a primary key? You know that very well. We discussed this. Exactly, in the entire lifetime of that employee gets paid only once because if it is a primary key. You remember that example, right? Okay, now you tell me in this table, which one is a primary key?
Employee ID, because it's
Employee ID, because it is employee table, so employee ID is a primary key. Each and every employee gets one unique identification number. Excellent. Now you take a look at this and tell me which one is a primary key.
account. Because it's a bank account table.
Account number.
Account number or customer Aadhaar?
Account number, because bank account table will have primary key as account number.
Like I can have two accounts with one as loan and another one.
Exactly. A customer Aadhaar number cannot be a primary key. Here in this table, right?
Account number is the primary.
Account number is a primary key because different account numbers and that type of the account, and it may be SB account, home loan, car loan, credit card for the same customer. Possible. Same customer can have different types of account relationships with the bank, right? Yeah. Now you got the point. So don't think something is sounding unique. You don't call it as primary key. Remember this point we already discussed in SQL also. Most of the beginners, they do this mistake. The moment they hear something like employee ID, they think like it is a primary key. Hold on. In which table you are looking at? Right? Right. Because the same employee ID can work like a foreign key in some other table. Right? PAN, is it a primary key?
No, sir.
It is not always a primary key. You get a question, if why it is not always a primary key, is there any chance that the PAN can be duplicated?
No, sir, because PAN can be null. There may be some people who doesn't have.
Here we go. PAN. In the PAN issuing authority tables, nothing but this NSDL something is there, right? They issue the PAN, right? In their table, it is a primary key because they issue each and every citizen, I mean the taxpayer, with one unique identification number, PAN, right? But the same PAN in the tax returns table. In the tax returns table, the same PAN will be repeated for multiple number of times.
Foreign.
It's a foreign key. Got the point? Got some idea now? Right. Yeah. Right. So tell me this, laptop serial number. Every laptop has a serial number, right? Kind of serial number. So is it a primary key?
So the person who manufactures these laptops.
What table?
Which table, right?
What?
Manufacturing table. In the manufacturing table, each and every device gets one unique identification number, so it is a primary key. But the same laptop ID in the service station table. Service center table.
No, foreign key.
Foreign key. Why? Because it's the same. Yeah, multiple times, you can get it serviced. Right? Student ID. Student admissions table.
What
Admission
table?
primary key. But the same student ID in the attendance table.
Yeah, it's foreign key.
Foreign key.
Monthly.
Every day the student ID needs to be reported there for the attendance purpose. Same ID.
Yeah.
Right? And I also tell this vehicle registration number with RTA. Unique, right? So RTA department that issues each and every vehicle registration number unique and not null registered number, right? But the same vehicle registration number in traffic challans table, it can be duplicated, which can be like a foreign key there, right? Yeah. I think you got some idea now. What is a primary key and foreign key, right? So most of the beginners have this confusion, something is sounding unique, right? Why can't I call this as a primary key? It depends on the table, which table you are looking at. Now you know the schema designs also. So better I'll talk about this one, SQL constraints once. With that, we'll be getting better idea. Just a second. Yeah, with that, you will be able to build a model in SQL, in Power BI easily. When we design the tables in SQL, these are the different constraints we use, not null, right? So let me open this file only. Yeah, on employee name, I'll apply a constraint there as what? Not null. What does it mean? The value cannot have null. Cannot have a null. Okay. And this one, default constraint. Default constraint means if you leave it null, by default, there will be a value printed. Okay. Something like coming to the location, if I apply a default constraint as Hyderabad, nothing but without loading any value, if you leave this cell, right, automatically it prints Hyderabad there, unless you specify some other value, right? Default. Unique key, primary key, foreign key, I'll come to this later. Check constraint. It is something like data validation. We apply data validation rules. A value cannot go beyond this or lesser than this, right? A value must be greater than this. Different kind of rules that we apply. It's very much equivalent to check constraint. Indexing is there. But for Power BI, indexing related concept, even if you don't understand, it's okay. But to just quickly discuss this, index helps us to quickly retrieve the data. A simple example would be a textbook. I always tell this, a textbook with the page number, without the page numbers, and no index page and with the index page. You understand the difference. If I ask you to go to a particular topic and you don't have an index page and no page numbers also, then it will take some time to go through each and every page and find out where is the topic. But if you have one index page and you have all the details there, and you can easily go to that page. There are different types of indexes, clustered, non-clustered, unique index and different things, but that is more for the database developers. You don't need to worry about that. Right? And coming to primary key, foreign key, just now we discussed. What is a primary key and what is a foreign key? Primary key is something that is always unique and not null. And then what is a foreign key? A foreign key is a primary key of some other table. That's what we understood, and we got some idea. And only one thing is something sounding new here is unique key. What is unique key? Unique key. What does it do?
All unique values. It
It allows only unique values. Perfect. So if you look at this, PAN is the best example of unique key here.
All the details are unique.
So the behavior of unique key is it accepts a value which must be unique, and if that value is not there, it also accepts nulls. All the values must be, must be unique in that column, or if that value is not there, it can be null, right? So very simple, understand this. PAN, Mahesh and Ravindra are there, right? Ravindra is own brother of Mahesh. Ravindra is also joining the company, but Ravindra doesn't have a PAN. Can Ravindra submit his brother's PAN?
No.
No.
Cannot do that.
Yeah. So sometimes the behavior of the column is like this. If you are entering a value, that must be unique. If that value is not there, then that column also should accept nulls. You cannot apply a not null constraint on PAN. Not null constraint is not a good, is not a good constraint on PAN. Why?
Because there may be some people with no PAN and
Exactly. There is a fresher joining in the company and that person doesn't have a PAN, then you cannot say, you don't have a PAN, so we can't hire you, right? We can still hire them, but only thing is that they will have to apply for the PAN later.
Yes.
And they need to submit that acknowledgement that they applied for the PAN.
Then we can put it as a null.
Exactly. Null value. Until then, we just keep it as null. And once the PAN is, issued, then we'll update the number there. You got the point? But until then, can we use any other's PAN there? No, that means the behavior of this column is if you are entering something that must be unique and cannot be duplicated with anyone else, right? If there is nothing, just leave it now. That's okay. Understood? Got some idea? Right? So these constraints only will be used to build our Power BI data models also. Okay, relationships and all, you find it really easy. Right? In our next session, I'll once again talk about a few of the SQL fundamentals, unions, merging, appending and all that. So we'll go through all those things. And with that, you will be ready to start building your Power BI reports. We'll create our sample report with some Excel data. You can use Excel data, SQL data, or web page data, or PDF, whatever, right? But you will start getting some idea how to build these reports using all these concepts. Okay. Fine then, looks like the material has already been uploaded to the Google Drive. Please reach out to the front office if you're looking for this material and videos and all. So they will help you out how to get them, right? And please download Power BI desktop as I showed you. So just be ready for the next session. Yeah, just don't go for Power BI service registration. Just simply install Power BI desktop. That's it. So when it asks for the service registration, just simply close that. You don't need to do this at this point. I'll let you know how to create your account.
Yes.
Yeah, online participants, any questions?
I just have one small query. When
Yeah.
we are learning the Power BI, we need to, SQL classes must be attending, right?
Right. After this Power BI, you may, better. It is recommended to complete SQL sessions also.
Okay. Yesterday I have completed my this one demo class, and today I just joined. Can you just suggest when will be the SQL classes will be conducting?
Right after this Power BI sessions, we have SQL sessions also. That's the reason I'm covering all those SQL fundamentals once again, because these are needed to build the reports in Power BI.
Yes.
And still continue in Power BI batch also. But after this, we'll once again start SQL batch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Kishore,
Yes.
can you show me once again the SQL desktop, the
Which one is
download? I mean, Power BI desktop. We
Power
need to
BI
download,
desktop.
right? Go to
Go to Start button, Store, Microsoft Store, search for Power BI desktop. Okay, and just say install or get it. Because it's already installed for me, it says installed, but for you, it says get it or install, whatever.
I am getting downloads. So can I
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can just directly, go to store and search for this, and whatever the button here, it may say sometimes, download or get it, depends on the something it is there, and just click that and it gets installed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool then. So thanks everyone. Let's catch up in our next session, and any additional information is there, please reach out to the front office. Bye everyone.